Welcome to another episode of Wholesome Thinking. The main objective of our conversations is to challenge people's minds and stimulate wholesome thinking by utilizing the gifts that God gave us. This platform is inspired by scriptures, spiritual journeys, perspective, and life. It's important to us that we highlight these conversations to help encourage others on their journey and provide perspective. In 2 Peter chapter 3, it says, "Dear friends, this is now my second letter to you. I have written both of them as reminders to stimulate you to wholesome thinking." If you ever want to join us on the Wholesome Thinking podcast, please contact us on Instagram, TikTok, or our YouTube channel. Our handle is Wholesome Thinking Pod on all platforms. We encourage everyone to reach out to us, not only to join us, but to provide us feedback or tell us about other topics you would like to hear us talk about on this platform. Our main rules on this platform are commitment, creativity, no cursing, prayer, and no judgment. Appreciate everyone for tuning in to listen. Enjoy.
What is going on? What is going on, man? I'm excited to be here. JG, what's going on? Look like it's just me and you today, man. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing great, man. Yeah, just us right this time. Got Rail and Spence out of town on vacation. Hope the boys are doing well. Look forward to seeing y'all back and chatting with y'all next episode. But yeah, we here, man. We here.
Just for those listening, look, just because we on vacation doesn't mean it don't stop for y'all, man. We're gonna make sure we always got something for y'all. So me and JG
Sure.
about to rock this one today. We're talking about promotion and edification. And I'm very excited about this one because I think this is going to be a little bit different than some of our other episodes with just us two doing this. But I do want to start off by just saying, like, as far as promotion goes, we're talking about more of the building something up, more of advertising things, more of that than this is how you get promoted at a job or get promoted in a business or something like that, right? This is more of how can you make more people aware or more fascinated or more interested in something. That's the kind of promotion we're going to talk about. And if this is your first time hearing the word edification or to edify, I do want to give you a definition up front so you just kind of know where we're coming from today. So in regards to the Bible, what edifying means is to build up, instruct, or improve someone in their Christian faith, knowledge, or character, right? So when you edify someone is when you're promoting them at a higher level, you're promoting the value of them, you're building them up, you're strengthening them with your words. So we're going to be talking about that. And of course, the opposite of that is to de-edify somebody, which may come up in a little bit of the conversations, but that is to basically talk negative about someone. So when you're joking on someone and it impacts who they are, their integrity of who they are as an individual, that's when you de-edify. So I hope those definitions kind of help understand where we're coming in from today. But yeah, we can go ahead and get started, man. I'm very excited. So how this topic came up was lately I've been seeing a lot of people talking about things or introducing stuff to people. And the way that they do it, I realize I'm like, man, there's a reason people don't show up to stuff that you invite them to or attend events that you may suggest. And I realize it's the way that people are promoting things. And so one of the things that I'm always doing, JG, is when I'm talking to my mentees and I'm life coaching and stuff, I talk about how do you promote yourself? How do you promote other people? How do you promote things to make sure that it's actually effective? And so before we even get started, JG, I mean, is this something that you're familiar with? Have you ever heard edify? Have you ever dealt with promotion in this aspect? I'm just curious to what you're thinking.
Yeah, for sure. And as somebody who could definitely benefit from like just good, truthful promotion with music and even with the pod, like I'm very interested to see where this discussion goes. But yeah, definitely familiar with edification and really looking forward to this conversation for sure.
Sure, for sure. And I love that you said truthful promotion, truthful building up, because the goal listening to this episode and leaving is not to say, oh, I can just lie to make something sound good to promote it. That's not what we want to do. If we don't want to do that, we want to make sure we're actually promoting stuff with truthful things that actually add value to your life of why you want to promote something. I think all of us can think of a time where I can even think of one. We went to a movie, right? You go to the movie theater, you see this good movie, and you telling everybody, man, I'm at this point in the movie, I was out of my chair, man. I was so blown away. I was running around. You gotta go see this movie, right? And then what happens? All your friends go see the movie off your excitement and stuff. Like you promoted that, but you never get nothing back for it. You know, they ain't sending you a check in the mail saying, hey, thank you for promoting that for me. No, but that was the power of what promotion did. That's why word of mouth is so powerful. And I think we'll start there, kind of promoting things. So let's use that movie for example. Have there ever been a time you've seen a movie solely off of how someone explained the movie? Like maybe you didn't even see the trailer, you weren't even thinking about the movie. They pulled up, say, "Yo, JG, listen, bro, I don't know what you're doing right now, but you need to book a ticket right now. You need to go see X movie because this movie gonna change your life." And I know I've heard that, and I've been like, bet. I don't need to see no trailer. Hey, your word is good. You talking about it like this, I'm gonna go see it. So just in general, has there ever been things for you that maybe someone's just brought up to you that you're like, yes, like I'm just gonna go see it just off of your excitement, off of your enthusiasm for it?
For sure. Like, I'm trying to think of a specific movie example. My wife is not going to like this response, but man, she loves the movie The Holiday. I mean,
Okay.
she talks about that movie all the time. Like, I'm not a big rom-com guy at all. Like, occasionally, you might catch me watch, entertaining one, but like, as far as it goes, that's not really my bag. I'm not really into that. So, but she just loved the movie so much. And this was early in the relationship. So like, I think this was even before we got married. And so she was just always like, what's your favorite movie? And she would always say The Holiday. So I'm like, all right, I got to see this movie. Man, I watched that thing and I was like, I mean, I get it. It's just not moving the needle. It's just not moving the needle. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not doing it for me. So like, babe, I'm sorry. When you listen to this, I'm sorry. But like, that's the one I'm thinking of off the top for real.
That's funny though, because I'm thinking of the same thing. But it got you to watch the movie, you know what I'm saying? Like her promotion got you to watch the
Yeah.
movie. And I'm thinking man, I've seen so many movies now that Kayla's just promoted at such a high level that I'm like, I guess I gotta watch it. I guess I know even more recent, right? I think I haven't seen it yet, but I know everybody went to go see Sinners. And I mean, people talking about this movie of the year, like this is that, this and that. And I'm not a fan of horror. And I know what people say, oh, it's not really that scary, but there's jump scares. I don't like jump scares. I'm still excited to go see that movie. I mean, I ain't gonna go see it in theater now. I might watch it when I can get it on TV where jump scares ain't as bad. But I'm excited
Right.
to go see it just because of how much people has been promoting it. And I remember, man, this movie is old. I don't even know if half the audience that might listen might remember this, but Tropic Thunder. I think, man, I was like in middle school or so when that show came out. And to this day, man, I be quoting stuff from that movie. I'm like, yo, you ain't seen Tropic Thunder? It's the best movie out there. Ain't no movie. Like, I be promoting. And I think that's what people need to like learn how to do to a level in a sense is like, how do you talk about something that makes you feel good, right? And so movies or things, man, like if I'm excited about like a movie, if I'm excited about a car, I always talk about not just like, yo, this is a cool car. I'm always talking about, man, this is how this car made me feel. And that built the excitement for my friends. And I think a lot of the times, especially for things, we can find ways to really talk about the impact of it that we don't. And so I think if I were to give an example, right, I'm gonna pick a book, right? I'm looking over my bookcase right now and I see How to Win Friends and Influence People, right? And this is a great live example of it because when I'm life coaching, and I'm talking to my mentees about different books that they can read, whatever books related to them. So How to Win Friends and Influence People, I always grab that book and I'm like, look, How to Win Friends and Influence People is like the people skill Bible. Like everything you need to know about having people skills, how to connect with people, how to make sure that you can have people on your side instead of not on your side is going to be in that book. The chapters are bite size. I think you can take it, you can read the first chapter, start applying it now. This is a book that I read every single year because I know what it does for me and all the opportunities that I've had because of it. And so that's just this high level promotion of that. And then what happens is when people start reading the book, they already thinking about, okay, this is what he said. All right, he said it's like the people skill Bible. So as soon as I start reading, I'm looking at how is this improving my people skills. He said this is something I can apply immediately. As soon as I read the first chapter, can I even start applying it? And then you realize you can. Right. And that's the truthful part of it, because when you take something, instead of me just saying, hey, JJ, I got a book for you, I want you to read it, you kind of like, I mean, it don't do nothing for me, you know what I mean? So like when you promote it in that aspect, I'm telling you the value of the book and giving you the value in return for you to want to check it out. And so with that, man, I wanted to see like when it comes to you promoting things, I guess this is a question for you. How do you feel like promoting things have been? So objects, events, cars, movies, shows, games, sports teams. How do you feel like when it comes to you promoting stuff? Let's use your Eagles for example, right? You're an Eagles fan, and you got the shirt on, so you got the shirt on.
Yes,
So
sir.
when you talking about the Eagles, right? And let's say you got a team, a guy or a girl that don't watch sports, and they're like, I'm trying to find a team. How do you promote the Eagles? What do you do?
Well, wow, that's a good one. Is I think it's easy because like I'm like passionate about the team. You know, I try to keep up with all the goings on, like the current, staying current, whatever moves they're making as far as personnel, familiar with the players, familiar with like their strengths and weaknesses and stuff like that. So, like for especially for the Eagles, since I've been like a lifelong fan, pretty much, like I can pretty much sell the Eagles for sure. Like I can sell somebody on why they should be interested in the Eagles. But to go back to something we've already mentioned early on, like there's honesty and truth behind it, and there's also passion behind that as well, right? So it's like, and like I'm the type that is honest about my teams. Like no matter how much I love teams or players, like if they're not performing up to the standard, like I'm going to say that. And so, you know, one of the things with the Eagles is going to be like, if they're not playing up to what I think they're capable of, especially now, like I'm going to be like, I don't know. It seems like they still need to find something. They need to get in a rhythm. Like they don't seem like they're not clicking yet. And so, but I mean, as far as like having guys at each position, like I'm going to break down the personnel and be like, listen, we got two of probably the top 30 wide receivers easily in the NFL. We have a top 10 quarterback that's like committed. He'll be here probably for the duration of his career. Like, and he's shown so much growth and like really living up to the potential that that he showed. We got probably one of the top 3 running backs in the league, if not the best running back in the league. He's healthy, he's committed, and he's selfless. We got a good defensive coordinator and good talent on defense. All the defense is young. You know what I'm saying? So like the contract situation for the most part on the defense is very friendly because we're spending a lot of money on offense. And not only are they young, but they're skilled and they're familiar with the system. So like I could go into like depth and detail about it because I'm like knowledgeable, I'm passionate, and I'm gonna keep it real when it comes to that. I'm not gonna lie or give any fluff when it comes to that. So I think that's a great call on your part to use the Eagles as an example because that's one where for me, that's going to be one of, if I'm promoting the Eagles, it's going to come from a genuine place.
And I think like you're just like checking so many boxes off right there, man, because like you said, you're passionate about the Eagles. You're going to speak the truth regardless. And those are two of the big things. Your excitement level, your enthusiasm, your passion about it is what feeds passion and enthusiasm for other people who don't even know, right? And I think that's kind of where the biggest difference is someone saying, let me actually think about that now, or that sounds cool, comes from, right? Because I know that, and I don't know why Eagles fans, maybe y'all just super fans, I don't know, because I have another friend that his whole man cave is all Eagle stuff, and I go in there, I wear my Cowboys jersey, and he has already 15 reasons of why I shouldn't be a Cowboys fan, should be an Eagles fan every time, and it's always different reasons, and I'm like, bro, how many reasons you got to be an Eagles fan? But I'm like, that's the power of promotion, because he's probably had people say, you know what, I'm going to support the Eagles because of you, because of your passion, your enthusiasm, your knowledge of the team, and just how strongly you feel. Like I can't, like that's just rubbing off on me. And I think like, man, like how you just said it's like you're checking all the boxes of promotion for things like that. And so then comes the part where you got to promote people. And I think people are a little different because people aren't just things. We kind of go back to what you said earlier. People have to have standards to worth being able to be promoted. And if they don't have the standards to be promoted, then are you really going to put your name on something to be promoted for, right? I'm not going to promote somebody that doesn't live the standards that I'm expecting. And it's kind of how you said with the Eagles. If they're not performing, I'm going to let you know. And it's the same thing with people. But I think promoting people are a little bit different because sometimes, one, whether you're promoting yourself or you're promoting other people, sometimes the outside people looking in can say, this person's either bragging, they're kissing butt or something like that to this other person. But no, it's really just a matter of promotion. And I think it's important because I remember when I was building my business and my business coaches were very, very successful. They were working with hundreds of people. And so I would introduce someone new to the business opportunity. We'll be taking them through the process. And they didn't realize that they had a multimillionaire that was going to sit down with them for free and help them out. And so for that, I would be like, I would give them a call and I'd be like, hey, like, I understand you're busy. I know you're busy and stuff like that. You got things going on. The Eagles are playing, so you got to watch your Eagles game. But listen, you're sitting, like, there's a multimillionaire that's want to sit down with you, and he's working with hundreds of people, and his time is valuable. He's going to work with people that want to work with them. And I don't know about you, but I know for me, I would want to do everything I can to make sure that he's teaching me everything that he knows so I can be successful. And just like that, I showed the value of that person, of my business coach at the time, and also the value I got out of him, and let the other person know, like, hey, like, this is someone that is very significant that you have access to if you don't want to squander it. And I think that is a level of promotion that makes people want to value things, because when it comes to people, you got to make sure, I guess people and things, you got to make sure people find what's good for it for them, right? Because that's always the main question of when you're promoting something. Why should I care? And how is this good for me? And so, JG, I know, like, with sports, right? I know, playing with sports or trying to go in college and then go and play professionally, you had to promote yourself, right? And I know sometimes that looks like highlight tapes, talking to coaches about your skills and assets and stuff. How was that for you, promoting yourself to scouts, to coaches, to teammates and stuff like that, to show your value of what you could add to your college team, to your professional teams, even your high school teams, like going up? I know that's one probably more of trying out, making the team compared to being recruited. But can you tell me a little bit about those?
Yeah, I mean, but even at the high school level, I mean, from a player's perspective and a coach's perspective, it's important how you present yourself, right? I mean, that factored in a lot to my decision making as far as selecting players for the teams that I was coaching. It was like, is this kid is he willing to listen? Is he coachable? Does he think he knows it all? Does he have an accurate perspective on his skill set, his ability, and kind of what his role will be on the team? And so I've been on both sides of that, and it's like it's very important how you carry yourself and kind of what your priorities are. And typically that's easy to see based on how you conduct yourself, based on your behavior, based on the way you talk, based on your energy at different points of whether it be a tryout or open gym or whatever, how you interact with people who will potentially be your teammates. All of these things play a role. And so I think you don't necessarily have to be promoting yourself as in a one-on-one conversation in those types of situations. And I think maybe just in every general situation, like, you're promoting yourself by your character and your values and how those are on display when, let's say, potentially, like, quote unquote, nobody's watching, right? It's like you are who you are when nobody's watching, and you don't change when people are watching, right? So you're steady, you're consistent across the board. And I think that speaks volumes to, again, like, that speaks volumes to your potential as like how you would fit in certain situations. And I think that promotes you more than anything that you could verbally say to somebody. Is how you act when you think no one's watching. It was probably going to be the best promotion tool, like, individually for a person.
Absolutely. I think that's fire because a quote that I still say it all the time is, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yes,
And
sir.
so how you operate behind closed doors is how you're going to operate in front of everybody as well. And I think you kind of mentioned, like, you're being the example. So, like, self-promotion is just be the example, like, be who you say you are. Like, if I talk a good game, but I don't walk it, I don't live it, then it doesn't matter what I talk and promote myself, because the actions that I take is the true example that's really they're going to see. The words just pique their interest, but when they actually see it, they're like, he like, again, he wasn't truthful, he was lying. And I think that is a great way of doing it, because then that opens up the ability for other people to edify you, right? That then opens up the opportunity. Like, if they know that you're staying an hour after practice, still get shots up, going through drills yourself, and your coach happens to be locking up the gym and they see you, now your coach has the ability to edify you to other coaches, to scouts, to other people when you're trying to go to the next level. And I think that's the part that people don't, like, they miss when it comes to, like, recruiting. And I didn't play for sure, but I do know, like, when it comes to recruiting, like, you obviously you have your highlights. that you pass along, but you also have your coaches edifying you and speaking for you on behalf, or whoever you have working with you to be able to talk to these schools as well. And all you, like you said, all you do is you show up and do what you got to do, and then it opens up the opportunity for other people to edify you. And so I think that's just the simple part of working hard, honest, like doing honest, hard work to get to where you want to go. And then it happens. And I think we see that all the time. I mean, especially with you. Like, I've seen the work that you've put in with your music, right? And I've heard your songs, and I'm like, man, like, more people need to hear what you're putting out, not only just for the type of music that it is and for the lyrics and stuff, but the way that it feels listening to it, like the emotion that you're putting into it. I think that is something. And I was actually telling someone that this weekend when they were at the house, and I was listening to their music they were making, and I was like, have I ever told you, like, you might need to work with my friend JG? Like, the feeling you have in your songs and the feeling that he has in his songs are something that I think could mash up to be something incredible. And it's just like, just the level of promotion that I had to talk about, like, what you're doing with your music is really kind of what it is. And I think in simple terms, a lot of people shy away from that part because they think that, like I said, oh, like I'm kissing your butt or something, or I'm talking so much about you. But sometimes maybe they feel like it's taken away from them because they're putting the light on you. But I think that's okay. That's how it should be sometimes. You shouldn't be trying to take all the light. I know I always say, I have a shirt that says, be a light, not a lampshade, right? And you don't, by you being the example of promoting others and caring about others, by default, you're becoming the light. But if you're like withholding that stuff back, if I'm not promoting you, if I'm de-edifying you, breaking you down, like, hey, nah, JG music ain't good at all. Like, you waste your time. Like, that I'm not a light no more. I'm a light lampshade. And so I think it's very easy, and with people, for people to kind of tiptoe that line because they're like, okay, um, I want to promote somebody, but I also want to promote myself. I don't want to put somebody else in the front seat because they think it's all about me mentality. It's a main character mentality, not really about promoting others. But honestly, if you can shift from it's all about me to it's all about them, and then I will just receive benefits in return, I think promotion and edification will happen higher. But real quick for that, on the de-edification side for that, I think a lot of the times we do that unknowingly, right? I think sometimes we think we're joking and we're really de-edifying somebody. We don't really know how they feel, how they impacted by it. So one of the things I try to do to limit that is like joking, right? So for example, I love your music and I promote your music all the time and talk about how good your music is. But if I was joking around, like just messing around and, I was like, JG music, it ain't good. It ain't all that. Like, even though I'm not serious, whoever I de-edified you to, now that's their perception of you, right? So let's say
Right.
if you're talking with somebody and they never met you, and I'm saying, I don't know, let's just say like, man, me and JG fight all the time. He got an attitude issue or something like that, right? Now their perspective of you, and it's not even something that's true, but now their perspective of you is this is an angry dude all the time. And I'm like, nah, JG always happy. Like JG, like really, but then because I de-edified you, now
Yeah.
this person has a false expectation of you. And so, hearing that out loud, I want to know for you, man, have you ever seen, heard a joke, like someone just joking around, but it actually messed up somebody's image, messed up somebody's character because of it? Or maybe how they actually felt receiving the joke? Because I know sometimes like people act like they think the joke's funny and they laugh along, but really like, nah, that really messed them up. So have you ever experienced that, seen that, anything like that?
Man. Wow. First of all, well, let me say, like, I appreciate the kind words, brother, about the music. That's praise God, man. That was awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Of course.
Man, I'm trying to think. I know that sometimes it has. I can't think of a specific time where somebody's words, as far as like de-edifying somebody, like really kind of put me off. I'm sure an example will come to me. I did want to, before we move too far past it, I did have a couple examples of where like just I'm not sure if it was character or favor. I'm sure it was favor in retrospect. But there were a couple examples of actually both from the same team. I played semi-pro basketball in Rochester. So like I played overseas a couple years. I did like a couple of D-League like open tryouts, like not an invite, which is like vastly different. But it was just like, taking a shot at what was a lifelong dream. It's like, maybe maybe something happens, maybe something shakes that I'm not expecting or whatever. So I was kind of in a position where, I didn't really have anything that was overseas, and I kind of needed something in between time just in case I could go back at some point, or had the opportunity to go back, but needed like film to kind of show like, okay, I can still play. Little did I know this was like, I'm already on the back end of like, I'm about to be done. Like, if this is Rochester was my last 2 years, like I was wrapping up. At the time, I wasn't sure about that though. The first year I played at Rochester, man, this is so funny. I went there, I thought I played well, but like, I don't think I really took hold of the moment initially and kind of realizing like, oh, like there's a chance I might not make this team. Like that didn't really cross my mind. And that kind of affected how I was like not really, again, stepping up and seizing the moment in certain cases. And there was another dude there that was good. I think he was from LA. He was a little bit taller than me and had like a similar skill set, but I think he was better. Like, let's call a spade a spade. Like, we had a similar skill set. He was more athletic than me and just like better. And he ended up getting cut. I'm not making the team like when it came down to the final decision. And at the time I didn't know it was between like me and him. And it was only later that the point guard of that team kind of told me, the coach pulled him aside and asked him like, hey, like, all right, do you want Jerron or this other dude? And he's, without hesitation, he said Jerron. Like, and so he saw something in me, like we didn't know each other previously. And he saw something within those days of tryouts that he was like, this is somebody I want as a teammate over this guy who's just as skilled, a little bit taller, and probably would be better and more productive, but not maybe as good of a teammate. And so this guy, like, who was this other player who got cut, he was like very high on himself. He was not shy about talking himself up to everyone. Was telling everybody he was supposed to be in the NBA, but such and such happened. And so like, he's just here until something better comes up. Like, he was really treating the situation like it was beneath him. And even though I didn't seize the situation in the way that I should have, like on the court, like I was very much aware that although like I thought that I would play for like many more years, that like if this didn't work out, then it might be over sooner than I thought. So I was really looking at this as like a last chance, like to kind of, have a positive season and maybe get back overseas and play at that level again. And so I think that was reflected a little bit in my approach as far as my interactions with the guys that were there, as opposed to him who was telling everybody he should be in the NBA if not for some kind of mistake or mishap or misfortune that, fell upon him unexpectedly. And like he really didn't want to be there and he was just waiting for the next good thing to come up and he just needed to stay in shape. Like he was telling people that. And so knowing that in hindsight, taking myself out of it, if it was that guy and another dude that was like, you know, approaching it like this is my last shot, like I need to make sure that I'm putting my best foot forward, like as long as that comes out, like it's kind of an easy decision. And so like I do appreciate that, like as far as somebody being perceptive, and for me not even really knowing that about myself at the time or viewing myself in that way or the situation in that way, but for something that I was doing to kind of show that like this guy might have something and he would probably be a better teammate, like we should keep him around and see what happens. Like I'm appreciative of that. And I think that speaks to everything we've said so far about, just promoting through action rather than words. Like, you can say anything. People can say anything, but your true character is going to come out in certain situations. You're not going to be able to hide it. You're not going to be able to conceal who you are inside and like what your struggles are, what your limitations are, and like who you are as a person. That's always going to come out the more that you're around people. Whether you lie to them or not, like the truth is always going to show. Light is always going to shine on the dark. You know what I'm saying? Or on what's done in the dark. So yeah, I think that's one example. There was another example that was like the following year, something similar happened. But this time it was a coach that spoke up on my behalf. And like, yeah, that was an interesting time, man. Boy, that was an interesting 2 years up there, man. Like, so much happened. Yeah, that was crazy. But yeah.
Wow. Wow. No, I'm glad you took us back there because one, I appreciate you sharing that because that's a dope story, man. That's just a dope story. Like, because I'm just imagining, like, I'm trying to think if there's ever a time where I've seen that. Like, I'm just like, you just like, yeah, this dude's nice. This dude's nice. And then you're just like, nah, but first off, God's with me. God knows where my heart is, where my prayers are. And then the team knows where my heart is and where my prayers are too. So I think it's cool that you say that because now it made me think about, I do this brand speech at my job. I go through different leadership teams and I do this brand speech talking about how to really have a name for yourself of who you are, like what do you stand by. And one of the I break it down into an acronym, and the acronym is your base or your belief. That's the B. So what's your foundations of who you are? The R is your resources or your readiness. Like, are you ready to move on to the next level? Are you ready to be who you say you're going to be? A is your actions and your attitude. N is networking and getting noticed. And D is being a draft pick or a first round draft pick, right? But kind of what you talked about was the N and the D, the networking, getting noticed, more so getting noticed, and also being a first round draft pick, right? So why I say that is because when I talk about getting noticed, it's what are you doing that you have people in the other room that can promote for you when you're not there, or they can vouch for you when you're not there, right? And the story you shared was you weren't in the room when the coach went to the point guard and said, "Who do you want?" But the point guard vouched for you, right? You got noticed. And whether it's, like you said, whether it's your skill set, your commitment, your purpose, your why, whatever it was, you got noticed. And so when it comes to being, and that's just another level of being promoted, right? Him picking you is him promoting you, thinking that you'll be a better teammate or a better asset or add more value to the team, but also add more value to him because he's the point guard, right? So that's what promotion is about. When you take your actions part is, what am I doing that when I'm not in the room, people are still speaking highly of me to make sure that I can get there. And that's exactly what you did. So I appreciate you sharing that story because I completely skipped over that. And it's like, that was just a living example of that right there, because it's not always about what you see or what you physically hear. It's all the other stuff of what's going on behind the scenes that people are always watching. People are always evaluating. People are always judging, or whatever word we want to use there. People are always just paying attention to what you're doing. And if your actions show you a different way, then people are going to talk about that, right?
Yeah.
I think, for example, with us, right? You know, we have the podcast now, and we're, 19, 20 episodes in, and the stuff we talk about, I know Rel mentioned it, I think it was like 2 or 3 episodes ago. Are we living what we're talking about? And I like to
Mm-hmm.
say yes. I like to believe we are, right? But if people see us, do they see that? Again, I think the answer is yes. But that's the importance of now. Like, people are always watching. People are watching us on social media. There's people that we don't even know that are watching to hope that maybe something happens, that the podcast fails. Oh, here's another week of them putting stuff up. They still going. And it's crazy to say that, but there's always people watching for the good and for the bad. And all we have to do is continue to hold the standards that we have. And like you had the standards like you had when you went out for those tryouts. So people behind us that are watching can say, nah, they're actually doing what they said they're going to do. They're actually people that are adding value to others. So thank you for that, bro. Thank you for that. So then,
Sure.
I do want to transition, right? Because I think we've talked a good bit about promoting things, promoting people. I think we have a good grasp of that, right? I think we have a really strong grasp of that. But then I want to switch to this. Why don't people promote Jesus in the church the same way? Why is it so easy for people to promote a movie, promote an activity, promote other people, but they don't promote church or Jesus the same way? And I want to dive into that a little bit, right? So while I'm getting some, I got a couple Bible verses, and I'm sure you probably do too. But just to start off on a high level conversation, what do you think it is that prevents people from edifying and promoting the church or promoting Jesus the same way?
Man, that's definitely a loaded question. I think, for some people, I think it's possible, and I can speak from experience. I think it's possible to go to a church where you're not necessarily being challenged, because I won't say that it's not a Bible-based church, because it could be a Bible-based church that doesn't challenge you. Those exist as well. But I think when you're not being challenged to step outside of your comfort zone, and you're receiving biblical examples of, what the church community should be, what it should look like, how it should function. If that's not resonating with you, then you wouldn't necessarily promote, or feel like you might not feel like promoting the church. I mean, I've been to churches where I was comfortable. We sang songs, and like I sang the songs, it was a good message, but it wasn't like I was running out, you know, telling everybody like, hey, we go to this great church, like you guys should check it out. And, that was twofold. Maybe like it just wasn't, and it ended up not being the church that we would be at long term as a family. But also I was just in a different place spiritually at the time, where, I wasn't in the way that I should on a daily basis. I was fine. I was content just going to church on Sundays, like I was singing a few songs, getting a good message. Maybe it moves me, maybe it doesn't. Getting a couple scriptures, and then, praying and calling it a week. See you next Sunday type thing. And so I think when you have that kind of approach, even if you like it and you're comfortable in that environment, it's not necessarily something that you're going to promote. And if you decide to promote it to somebody, or try to, get more people there, there's not too much substance behind what you're going to be sharing with people. Like if you're like, imagine if you're lukewarm, like you don't know, you would know this, like if you were a lukewarm Christian, you wouldn't recognize this situation. But let's just say that you're on fire, like you are on fire for Christ. Like I mean, you have experienced transformation, like you are a new creation, and you are like, it doesn't even matter however many years, like you've been walking with the Lord, like you are just on fire, like, and you just keep the fire going, and you and your family move. Okay, you move to a new area, you don't really know too many people, you're not really familiar with the area, you're looking for a home church. If a lukewarm Christian is describing their church to you, you're going to hear that a different way. It's not going to really resonate. That promotion is going to fall flat if you're like, you're on the job. It's like, hey man, like me and my wife are looking for a church, like just wondering, like, if you go to church, and if so, where you go. It's like, oh, like we have a church that we go to, and we like it, it's cool. Great choir. The pastor is young, he preaches a good word. It's like, that's not really selling you. Like, that's not connecting with you, right? You're like, if you're on fire for the Lord, you're listening for a few of some certain things that's going to like really reel you into that church, right? Like you're like, oh man, like he preaches the word, like it challenges me on a weekly basis. Like I go in there, I learn something new every week. They got a bunch of small groups, man. So you are really feeling like you're involved and a part of a community. You're really feeling like you're contributing to the growth and the overall like the overall church. I'm meeting new people. Like I'm establishing these friendships. Like these are the types of things that are happening like in the church I attend now, Chapel. And like, so if anybody were to be looking for a church in the Richmond area and ask me, like, boy, I could talk for 30 minutes, about Chapel and everything that's great about that community, and how like it's just kind of shifted my perspective and really like encouraged me in my faith walk. Like I could go on and on. And like, so one of the churches we used to go to, where I was, I'm not gonna put a name out there, but like, that I was kind of like in a different space, and it wasn't really like clicking in the way it was. Um, I don't know if I told one person. Like I would, when my family would come in town, we would go to that church because that's just where we went. But it wasn't something where I was telling them like, yeah, I'm involved, I'm connected, and I've met the pastor, I've spoken to people on staff, like whoop de whoop, like it wouldn't have been any of that. Now I'm like promoting church events like on my social media. I've never done that. Well, I won't say never, but like I've rarely done that in the past. And like I'm using my social media platforms to make people aware about some of the stuff that we got going on at Chapel and some of the things that we're doing in the community. Like I've invited several friends to like some of the small groups that I'm involved in. So like, Yeah. I mean, I think whenever you hear somebody promoting their church, just like anything else, you're still looking for that honesty, that transparency, that passion that really kind of draws you in. It's like, okay, I need to see what this is all about. And when that's missing or when that falls flat, you just kind of keep it moving. So yeah, so I think to answer your question, to kind of circle back, I know I kind of gone on a tangent there a little bit, but to circle back to your original question, it's like, when you don't feel like you're a part of the community of the church and you're not really like involved or engaging with the community in small groups and things like that, and you don't really know anybody in the church and they don't know you, then it's like you don't really probably feel the need to promote anything or wouldn't feel comfortable promoting it because there's not really a lot to say. You're just it's just somewhere that you go every week and you're just in attendance. You're not really involved and a part of, what's going on. And yeah, you're not really feeling like maybe that you're getting what you need. So I could definitely see that being a reason you don't feel comfortable promoting it.
You said a lot right now. You said a lot of good stuff right now. It's crazy, like hearing you say that and me living it as you're speaking it, right? Because similar to you, Kayla and I've been going to a mega church for 7-8 years, and lately we've been going to Port City Church, which I'm always talking about my conversation with Tanner, who's the lead pastor there. And it's how you just explained it was literally like me walking through the steps of saying, yeah, let me go check out his church. And then the feeling that I had once I'm in the church, because I'm thinking now, I'm like, I walk in, I'm greeted by so many more people. People are actually trying to get to know my name. Like, they're asking multiple times to make sure they got my name and my wife's name. Every time we come in, they always make sure they got it right. They're always welcoming us. We've had dinner with the Tanner and his wife. So we had dinner with the pastor. The pastor knows who we are. We know we have a relationship with the pastor. And not only that, but all of his pastors there we're getting more out of their sermons because they're teaching. They're teaching from the Bible. And I'm not saying that the mega church didn't teach. They did. But I was looking through, because we have all of our notes in our church notes book. And I'm just looking at, like, flipping the pages back and looking at my notes. And then I'm like, okay, I see this is like the page is full. But then I look at like the Port City notes and I'm like, man, I'm using 2 pages of notes. And I'm just like, I'm getting so much more from the sermons because they're teaching more than motivate. And I'm leaving feeling better. And it made me think about how when I first talked to Tanner, like when I first met him, he didn't even just invite me to a church right away. We actually sat down and just kind of how we were talking about earlier from people, I saw the standards of his life, and the standards that he held himself and held others to, and the character that he had. And that was enough to interest me into saying, hey, like, I want to see what you're all about, what you're doing. And to go check out his church and see like how can this add value to our lives as well? Because I mean, as all of us on the podcast, we're all continuing to grow spiritually. And, as much as we can take in and get in, that's going to help us continue to be stronger and a better vessel while we're here. Then I want to see like how's God moving in your life. And it's just a completely different feeling that I've got since going to Port City in Norfolk compared to the mega church, where I'm like, man, like this could really be a newer, better church for us, for what we want out of a church and what we're actually going for, right? Because yeah, the loud music, the cool music, all that stuff is cool. Like I know when my family come in the same way, I love the mega church we was going to. Like I said, 7-8 years there. A lot of stuff I learned from there, a lot of memories, a lot of great feelings, seeing a lot of people get saved. But I just think like there's a different level of promotion that I've already told people about Port City because of how I've been impacted internally, not by the external forces that the church offers, but how the message are hitting me internally. How are the people inside of the church? How are they welcoming? Are they even, from their parents, are they Christ-like individuals? Like, are they, do anybody have an attitude with me when I walk in? Is people like just completely ignoring us? Things like that aren't happening. And it's like, it's just what you said. It's just like when people are on fire, because I think so many people at this church are on fire right now. It's like you can really see it. And so when everybody wants to talk to you, you can feel it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's just like, why can't everybody, like, why is it that, and maybe I don't have the answer. Maybe you don't have the answer, but like, why isn't that, like, everybody's not on fire? Why isn't everybody happy for what the church or for what Jesus is doing in their life? Because I know whenever I promote or edify the church or anything like that, I'm like, hey, look, like I go to let's use my mega church when I promote. I would say, hey, like, you know, this church, this is a Bible teaching church. It's not a pastor that's up there just going off straight opinions of things that he feels. He's actually pulling up so many different Bible verses that's related. I'm learning a lot from this church. It is a great welcoming environment. If you're not really into the old school church, this is not it. This is more of a new school feeling. So if your perception is of what church is growing up, I promise you it's not that. And I think you'll have a great feeling here, right? That's how I used to promote that mega church. But now at Port City, you know, I've already been talking more about Tanner. I've been talking about Ron. I've been talking about Will. These are all the different pastors that I've got to experience there. I'm talking about their families, their wives that's been so kind to my wife, people that's always welcoming, just the whole vibe and the feeling that I'm getting from that. I've been promoting that completely different than how I promoted that mega church. And I think promoting Jesus a different way. Like when we tell people like, hey, do you have a relationship with Jesus? And we don't just say you should get one. You know what I mean? We talk about really like what we should be doing is talking about what has Jesus done for us. Like,
Yeah.
hey, like, you know, I remember when Jesus wasn't in my life. I remember the decisions that I was making, some of the troubles and turmoil that I was in. But then I actually got a relationship with God and a relationship with Jesus, and things started to change. And I'm not going to tell you right now that's going to change overnight. But what I will tell you is if you start following Him and growing closer with Him, you will start to see changes in your life the same way that I have. And so I encourage you to figure out a relationship. And that right there, like that's the honest truth. That's nothing made up. That's no fluff. That's nothing like that. But that just sounds so much better than, do you have a relationship with Jesus? You should go get one. And that's what so many people do, right? Hey, go to church. Hey, get ready for altar call. If you feel it, put your hands up, and then move on from that, right? And it's just, is that truly a relationship, or is that just a moment? And that's something that I've heard someone ask me is like, hey, like sometimes like, do they really get a relationship, or were they just so inspired or encouraged in that moment to just shoot their hands up, and then they went home and started living the exact same way? And I'm like, man, how can we really make sure people are really growing closer with God, but also actually having a true relationship? And that's kind of how, like, that's how it should be promoted. It should be promoted by what He's done in your life to make sure that your life went from where it was to showing the abundance and betterment of your life. But it doesn't always happen. And I feel like if that could be a shift, I think that would be, and I know people always talking about like, man, like the Christian culture is, and I've heard people call it weak. I've heard people call it whatever because they just don't stand up for what they believe in. They just kind of let people say or do whatever, but they don't really promote why to be a Christian, why to follow Jesus. And if so many more people did that, man, things would be so much different, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think it starts right with, like, on the individual level, it starts with belief. And I think, you know, you see that not only now, I mean, you can see that in the word. Like, if you don't truly believe, then there's nothing, like, it just doesn't connect the same. Like, the teaching won't connect. The scriptures that you read won't connect if you don't really believe it. And like, if you're not really seeking the Lord, like with some urgency and like consistently, then it's going to be hard for you to, in some cases, you know, like nobody is too far out to be reached by God, to be, you know, to have their heart transformed. Not saying that, but like, I guess what I'm saying is, in my, like, I can think of examples in the word where, I mean, Jesus was walking amongst the people, you know, and I always think about, man, is it Luke 4? I think it's Luke 4, where it's just like this incredible, I'm gonna go to it while I'm talking. It's this incredible, like, mic drop moment. I think I reference this scripture. It has to be one of my favorite passages, because I feel like I reference it all the time, just not on the pod, just in casual conversations with people. It always seems to come up. No, it's not 4, because that's a temptation. Oh, yes, it is. My bad. Man, this is like in Luke chapter 4, the beginning of the chapter, he's led into the wilderness to be tempted by Satan. Okay. Verse 14, he's back home, essentially. He's been filled with the Holy Spirit's power. So he has effectively resisted the temptation from the devil in the wilderness, the 3 different attempts. So he's back. He returns to Galilee. He's filled with the Holy Spirit's power, and like word is just spreading about him everywhere. And he taught at the synagogues regularly and was praised by everyone. Then now he's back home in Nazareth. He went as usual to the synagogue on the Sabbath, stood up to read the scriptures. So basically he stands up there. He's got a scroll in his hand. It's from Isaiah. He unrolled the scroll and then read, this is Luke 4:18. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, for he has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim that captives will be released, that the blind will see, that the oppressed will be set free, and that the time of the Lord's favor has come. Then in verse 20, he rolled up the scroll, handed it back to the attendant, and sat down. All eyes in the synagogue looked at him intently. Then he began to speak to them. The scripture you've just heard has been fulfilled this very day. And it's like, I can't think of a bigger mic drop moment than that ever. It's like, hey, that passage I just read to you from Isaiah that was written all these years and years ago, that was about me. I'm here now. I fulfilled what was written. He was talking about me before I was born, and I'm here to fulfill that today. It's like, what? And so if you imagine like how just different that must have been for the people in attendance who were already familiar with him. He was already being praised in the synagogues for his teaching, but he hadn't taken it there yet, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, and he went there, and it's like immediately there was a line drawn, and people were like, oh my gosh. There were some people was like, hold on. Some people said, everyone spoke well of him and was amazed by the gracious words that came from his lips. How can this be? They asked. Isn't this Joseph's son? So, right, already it's like, hold on, man. We know Joseph and Mary? This they son? Come on, we know Joseph. This dude is tripping. Like, he said he's fulfilling the words of Isaiah, the prophet, from hundreds of thousands. Like, what are we talking about? Like, what does he mean? That's Joseph's son. We know Joseph. We came up with Joseph. No, ain't no way. You know what I'm saying? And immediately people are like not believing, right? And so it's just interesting that like as his earthly ministry continues, he's performing miracles in front of people's very eyes. There were still people who didn't believe. And it ranged from, this is like sorcery, like this isn't of God just because you're performing these miracles. And then there was people that just refused to believe because their hearts were hardened because Jesus threatened their economic and social standing. And so they had set up a system where everybody was coming to them for their faith needs and like their teaching and edification and all of that. And it was just like running a racket. Basically, they weren't connected with the God of the scriptures that they knew so well. They were just holding their knowledge above people and restricting access in that way. And that's why God said, that's why Jesus said that you won't ever have the keys to the kingdom, because you're keeping people out. Like basically you're gatekeeping, like you're not inviting all people to be a part of this. Like you're making these decisions just based on like what you think and what you feel and how you can maintain your status, right? So like there's different types of unbelief as evidenced in the Bible, but then like come back to modern times, like I was going to chapel pretty much on a regular basis, like if not every week, very, very consistently when we were in town. And again, it was more of the same, like I mentioned from the other church, singing the songs. Now the messages were good, and like there were some messages that hit me differently than others, even before I started taking notes in church. Like there were some messages where I'm like, whoa, that was kind of like, that one was a little bit different. Like I like that. And those were the things that kept me coming back, right? And this was before we connected with anybody in the church. And so what it really took was an intersection of my own personal need for Jesus, and then finally pursuing that, not really knowing what I was doing, but just like, okay, I need to read the word more. I need to pray more, and this is coming from the little reading that I did, a little bit of the past, and then kind of what was being preached in those services, right? A couple times I was moved to tears, didn't know why, but it was like, there's something here. And so it was this continuous like building, right? And I'm slowly coming back to God, and it's like, I'm looking for something. I'm looking in the word, like I'm looking in the Bible, I'm looking in prayer, like I'm trying to be consistent. Everything else I've tried hasn't worked, right? And so then it's this like intersection of this personal pursuit of something that like to give me hope, and the right message at the right time, and then a conversation afterwards that really was just, that was it. And everything came together. It's like luck is where preparation meets opportunity, right? It was like the Lord had prepared me for that moment by pulling at my heart, drawing me closer to Him as I was seeking some sort of hope. And thankfully, I was looking in the right place for that hope finally. And He's drawing me nearer to Him, drawing me nearer to Him. I'm getting fed in church, receiving the word. Like the worship is a little bit different than it has been in the past. Like it's a little bit more, there's just a little bit more fire behind it. There's something there, and it's building, and building to this moment to where it's like, there must be more, part whatever. I'm looking for, like, there must be more is the message. I'm looking for more, pursuing it daily. And it's now we're intersecting in this moment of like, this is where your life changes forever. And that's what happened. And so there's different things that go into it to where, but I think it does start with belief. Honestly, I think the foundation of it is, what do you believe and how does that manifest itself in your life?
That's facts. And I appreciate you sharing all of that, because I'm just listening. I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm just like, even in that right there, the level of promotion that you've had and edification you had for your experience at chapel is exactly what promotion is. Because I'm sure now, if I was in Richmond, I'd probably be going checking out chapel, you know what I mean? So I know people that are listening in Richmond will probably be like, look, if I'm looking for a church or something, the way JG talks highly about chapel, I think I might need to go check them out. But you're right. Everything does, like, it starts with your belief. I mean, that's why when I do my brand speech, I think that's why it perfectly starts off when I talk about your base or your belief, because that's always the foundations of everything. And that can always change, but depending on how your belief is, depending on how all of that, how everything is going to intertwine, exactly like you said, to the perfect time, to the perfect moments for it to reach out. And I think that's just it's a beautiful harmony when your belief is right, when the opportunity is right, when the feeling is right, and when God is putting Himself in the midst of all of that at the same time and just weaving it together. It's just something beautiful comes out of that. And I think just what you shared right there is just a living testimony of that, of what that harmonic weaving looks like. And so, man, this has been good. This has been fun, man. This has been real good.
For sure.
I know we ain't got Spencer here for Spencer's notebook, so wanted to do things a little bit different, man. Is there anything that you would like to promote today? Anything you would like to share for our audience to learn, get more involved in, Bible verses, your church, more about your church? Is there anything you would like to promote?
Yeah. So one thing that Chapel is doing this weekend, July 12th, is Serve Day. And so basically what that is we have a lot of projects. I think right now we have around like 70. It's probably more than that now, but last they said it was like 70 some projects where we just, groups of us go out into the community and just serve people, like just meet the needs of people, whether that be like home improvement projects or, I know the choir is going to go sing and minister around the city. That, different projects, if, feeding people, just going out, sharing the word, like working in the community. There's some projects going on at local schools, all of that is happening. And this is something that Chapel does once a year. I'm very excited to be a part of it this year, to be in town. Previously, we would be out of town for Serve Day. So just so thankful and fortunate to be in town for this one. So that's coming up. And that's just a great way to take care of the community around you, and serve people just with no ulterior motives, really. You're just trying to help people and show them the love of Christ through your actions. And so That's happening Saturday. You can sign up through the chapel's website, and just, if you're around on Saturday and you feel led to kind of help out and serve, like, there's multiple projects to choose from that you can sign up for to do that. Let's see. I mean, musically, for those that don't know, I don't think that I've explicitly said it. So, I mean, what better time to do it than the promotion episode? If you know me, you know that this is not really my forte, especially when it comes to just like personal stuff and things that I'm doing. I would much rather promote for other people, but we've kind of touched on it here and there and made light mention of it in previous episodes. I make music. You could call me an artist, but basically what I'm trying to do is just communicate the love of God through music and just kind of let his light shine through me to reach those who may not have heard the gospel, that may not have knowledge of Jesus, or those that just, have a relationship, know Jesus, and just want to grow more or celebrate, their relationship with him. I make music. I'm a fairly new, I guess you could say, artist. I only have 3 songs out. They're all on iTunes. Artist name is Jerron, which is my first name. And so, yeah, I mean, the music is out there. It's all for the glory of God. And again, the goal is just, like Matthew 28:19 says, until all have heard. You know what I'm saying? This is just another way to reach people and use, a gift that God has blessed me with to just spread his word and spread his love to others. So, if you feel led to, on Spotify, Apple Music, basically anywhere you stream music, those 3 songs are out, and there hopefully will be more to come. We'll see where God leads it. But yeah, so if you want to check out some music that glorifies the Lord, check out Jerron on iTunes, Apple Music, and Spotify.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. So
Sure.
I'm gonna add to that, right? And I know I talked about at the beginning of the episode, I was talking about his music, and for real, check out his music, because it's more than just music, like you said. It's glorifying God, but it's the way the music makes you feel too. It's not just I mean, it is good tunes too, but it's not just a good tune you're just putting the bob to. No, actually listen to the lyrics and understand, like, one, what God's doing in JG's life, but also what he can do in your life too. Like, that's the power of his music. So I'd highly recommend y'all check that out, because I mean, like, that is something that it's in my libraries and stuff too, to making sure that I can keep it on. I be walking around the house sometimes singing some of your songs, JG. So, you
Praise
definitely
God.
got to, I want y'all to definitely check that out. So that was the first thing I wanted to promote. Another thing I wanted to promote was, Gael's podcast, Phenomenal Things. If you're looking for another faith-based podcast, like ours, hers is just her on it. But man, oh man, it's a powerful podcast. I think she finished her first season. I believe her second season might be coming out this year. But if you just go check out that first season and see how God is moving in her life, you will be truly blessed just to hear some of her testimony. You get to hear just some of the different topics that she's talking about. With her level of teaching directly from the Bible. I know we talk about it now, man. Like, when we're flipping through the pages of the Bible, we know that's the phenomenal things. And I was
Yeah.
actually telling her that at the house. I was like, hey, we got it from you now. Like, when we flip into the Bible, we getting our Gael on. So
Yeah.
definitely check out Phenomenal Things. Definitely check out JG's music on all music platforms. And if this is moving you all, if our podcast is moving you all, I just want to promote this again. I mean, you're already listening, so I thank you for that. But share this with people you think can find value in what we're talking about. We have episodes ranging from all over, from, we've talked support, we've talked prayer, we're now talking promotion, we've talked faith. Man, we've been going all over the place, all over the spectrum on different things that we've talked about. So we have an episode for you, for your friends, friends. We have an episode for everybody. So definitely, like, if you're finding value in what we're talking about on these episodes, definitely share those with other people. We'll make sure we have these resources and stuff that we were promoting in the descriptions as well. So that way, if you want to promote some of the stuff we've been promoting, we would highly appreciate it, because we know the value that is adding in our lives, and we just want to make sure that other people are getting the same value as well. So, man, I
Sure.
appreciate you, JG. You want to wrap up with some encouragement of the week, man? If you don't mind, I'll go first and I'll let you close this off. I just want to say, it's something that you said earlier, like, hey, like, get on fire for Christ. Be able to promote the church properly. Be able to promote Jesus properly. Talk about what he's done for your life, and do it with enthusiasm, which is God within. Like, but you have to be on fire yourself to really promote it for people to want to draw closer and grow with God and get a relationship with Jesus as well. So it starts with you. We talked about it all day. Be the example when it comes to individual. Be the example of what that looks like. Because if you're not the example and you're telling people about where to go that you go, and you're not the example, they're not gonna go because they see how you're living. So be the example, but also be on fire, because you never know what God can do in their life, and you could be that doorway that gets them there. So get on fire and be the example.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that shot.
Absolutely.
So my encouragement of the week is based around Hebrews chapter 10, verses 24 and 25. Let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good works, and let us not neglect our meeting together as some people do, but encourage one another, especially now that the day of his return is drawing near. So um, I just want to encourage you that if you don't have one, or if you haven't, find a church home. Find a church home where it's a Bible-based church, so you're getting fed the Word of God every week, and just find somewhere where it's welcoming. And it's a genuine community of people. I said it before, I'll say it again. Main things that changed my entire church experience was being involved in small groups. And this is something that I actively tried to avoid for years, which turns out that it was just a trick of the enemy to make me think that that wasn't an important part of being a part of the church body. But it's vital, not only to feeling a part of the church body and community and feeling more involved, but just in your own faith walk. We're created for community. There's several references in the Bible that would back that up, that statement. Just none better than the fact that God is one and three. It's God the Father, God the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Three in one. Like that in itself, God in Himself is a community. And we're created in His image, in His likeness. Therefore, we were created to be in community as well. So I think it's just so important to grow in your faith, to be a part of a good Bible-based church, and then one that really believes in the small groups. That's kind of an easy way for you to kind of feel more involved and a part of the larger church community. You're not going to know everybody in your church once it gets to a certain size, especially, but those small groups really help. And they're based around interests. Most times, I know at chapel, there's workout groups, there's Bible study groups, there's athletic related groups, all kind of groups, men's groups, women's groups, everything. So there's something for everyone. And if there's not a group that appeals to any of your interests, you can create a group and you can be a small group leader. So it's just a way, it's just a great way to connect to something that's bigger than yourself and just get around a community where you can care for others, show the love of Christ to one another, and then, as a whole, go out into the community and shine the light of Christ to others who aren't familiar or haven't heard, or for whatever reason are not a part of a church. So I would just encourage you, again, meeting on a weekly basis is important, but really being a part of the church community and letting other people know you as well as getting to know others within the church is vital to your faith walk. So just, put yourself out there and just let the Spirit lead you. You know what I'm saying? Finding a home church and just get in the community. Just get in the community. It really will change your perspective and really elevate your faith.
Appreciate that, JG. And I know JG mentioned, like, if you don't have a home church, find one. We talked about two today. So we talked about Chapel in Richmond, and we talked about Port City Church in Norfolk. There's two. If you're in those areas, you can check out. So with that concludes our episode on edification and promotion. Next episode, we'll have the team back. So that's exciting. But this has been fun. So for those that are listening, we appreciate you. We thank you. We're glad that you are with us on this journey as we continue to grow and develop. And we look forward to putting out more information and more content for you all to enjoy the same way we do. And with that, over and out.